Please be seated, everyone. Good morning to all of you. My name is Bill Taylor, and I am the administrative judge of our district. And let me be the first to welcome everyone here who is joining us virtually, the members of the bench and the bar, and the many friends and family members of those who we honor today. Welcome also to everyone who's here in person in the Hall of Justice as we honor our beloved colleagues with this long-standing tradition. Thank you for joining us. It is truly an honor for me to preside over this ceremony, and I am really grateful to the Monroe County Bar Association for giving me the privilege to do so. As many lawyers and judges know in this room, throughout each of our careers, we look at the list of honorees and we see the number of people whom we grow, or we know rather, we respect and we miss. That number grows every single year. And this year is no exception. The list contains a number of legal giants who have left their indelible marks on our profession. So on behalf of all the judges of the courts in Monroe County, all the jurists who are sitting here in the jury box and the court staff here in the Hall of Justice, we extend our deepest and most heartfelt condolences to the friends and the families of those whom we honor today. I'd also like to just take a moment to thank and recognize the members of our judiciary. You see, we have a full jury box. I want to thank all of you for being with us here today, and the judges who joined us online. Now, you may see some of our judges have to come and go during this proceeding because they have court cases scheduled. So please know that every time you see a judge walk in late or walk out early, please know that this was so important to them to be here with you today that they are giving us whatever time that they have just so they can be here with you, even if it's just for a short while. So I know I am grateful for all of our judges being here today, and I hope all of you are too. I can also tell you that this ceremony, this is my 5th ceremony as the administrative judge, and I can tell you that this is always very meaningful to everyone who works here in our courthouse. As you all know, our legal community in Monroe County is very close-knit. We are truly a family. And today's tributes give all of us an opportunity to reflect on members of our family whom we see no longer, but who live on in our hearts and memories as those we have loved and respected as friends, colleagues, and fellow stewards of the law. Now, during this ceremony, we are reminded every year of the sacrifices that are made by attorneys and judges, the ones we honor today, who cleared a path so that all of us could do the work that we do. They have each left a legacy for all of us to admire, learn from, and aspire to. Examples of what is good and what is right about the legal profession. So on behalf of all of my fellow attorneys and judges in this community, I want to thank all of the families here for supporting the attorneys and judges we honor and remember today. Each and every one of you, you have shared them with us, all those late nights where they were away from your family, the hard work that they did for others, and the problems that they kept solving in their minds long after they left the office. You supported them, each and every one of you, as they worked with all of us to move the law forward. So today, we honor your sacrifices as well. And we honor those sacrifices. And for those sacrifices that all of you have made, we will always be grateful. I also want to take a moment and thank the folks sitting in front of me, the members of the Monroe County Bar Association Memorial Committee. I say it to you every year, and I'm going to say it to you again. Your commitment to our profession is extraordinary. You're like angels on earth to me. And what you do today not only honors those we have lost, but the role that each and every one of you play in this ceremony is truly a testament to your own outstanding professionalism and grace. Each of you make sure that today and every day, all of us in the legal profession remember and honor the attorneys who left us by carrying on, again, what is good and right about the legal profession and holding the torch high that they have passed to all of us. So thank you to all of you for what you do today and what you do every year. At this time, it is now my pleasure to thank and introduce the chair of the Memorial Committee, my friend, Attorney Scott Rogoff. Mr. Rogoff.
Oh my, please. Thank you so much, Your Honor. Thank you very, very much. We are so privileged and honored to have Justice Taylor preside over this event year after year. His sincere and heartfelt words always set the perfect tone for this ceremony, and I know that they are very, very much appreciated. So thank you again, Judge Taylor. May it please the court, I move to open this special proceeding so the Monroe County Bar Association's Memorial Committee can pause and honor the 26 attorneys and judges of the greater Rochester area who passed away prior to August 1st of this year, so many of whom were long-standing members of the Monroe County Bar Association and made such valuable contributions to the bar, our community, and the legal profession.
Thank you, counsel. Your application is granted. Proceed.
Off to a good start. Whew. Okay. Thank you again, Judge, and thank you everyone for being with us today at the Monroe County Bar Association's 2025 Memorial Ceremony. Thank you also again to the members of the judiciary. It's really wonderful to see that box filled up, and as Judge Taylor mentioned, hopefully it sends a message that our entire community is with you all today. So thank you very, very much for being here. I know a lot of the honorees are attorneys who practiced before you, some of whom were friends and mentors. So it means a tremendous deal for you to be here. Thank you. Welcome to all of you, our honored guests, friends, families of the judges and attorneys that we pay tribute to today. It's wonderful to see all of you here in person. And to those of you who have joined us virtually, welcome. I hope we're coming in loud and clear and that you can see us and you can hear us. And please know and understand that your presence is absolutely felt here with us in the courtroom today. We're glad you are joining us. So a couple of quick notes before we begin the tributes. Number one, today we are honoring the attorneys and judges who passed away prior to August 1st of this year. And again, as Judge Taylor mentioned, sadly, our list for next year is already growing as there have been several individuals who passed away more recently. Now, these individuals will be memorialized next year at our ceremony, but we did want to take a moment now to simply acknowledge their passing. Walter S. Westfall, Joseph A.F. Valenti, James A. Spitz Jr., Michael A. Pelosi, and Sanford R. Shapiro. Our deepest condolences and most heartfelt thoughts go to their families and to their friends. The second point before we begin the tributes, for those of you who have prepared these written tributes, you may notice that what you hear from the podium might be a little bit shorter or a little bit different than the full-length tributes that you have prepared. And that's solely for the sake of time. Again, we have 26 individuals to honor today. So we had to edit a few of them a little bit. We had edited a few of them a lot a bit in other cases. But rest assured that the full-length tributes are assembled, unedited, and are in a booklet that we will provide to one family member of each honoree. And the entire tribute book is available on the Monroe County Bar's website at www.mcba.org. I would really encourage you, if you have some spare time, to read the tribute books. They are filled with inspiring stories and very, very, very meaningful, beautiful, and very, very memorable. Okay, and then the last thought before we begin. If, as you are listening to a tribute today, or if you see a photo on a slide and you think of something that makes you laugh or makes you smile, go ahead. It's fine. It's perfectly appropriate, especially for this ceremony. There's a lot of funny stuff in here. You're going to see it in a few moments. That's okay. Fondly remembering people we loved and cherished is a good thing, and it's healthy. If at the same time, if a memory brings to mind something that makes you a little misty or even brings a tear to your eye, that's okay too. Go ahead, let it fall. Break out the Kleenex. It's okay. You are here among friends and a community that care about you, and we are here to provide you with comfort and support. So with all of that in mind, I would like to ask Memorial Committee member Tom Gilman to come to the podium and begin the tributes. Tom.
Thank you, Scott. Memorial Tribute, Richard E. Chase. This tribute was written in the first person by Richard's brother, Ken. Rick was always my big brother, and over time, he became my best friend. In high school years, Rick was always a good student, and the teachers loved him. He was good at sports and played varsity baseball and soccer. One teacher commented the only thing I had in common with Rick was that we both had blonde hair. In his junior or senior year, Rick bought a 1950 red Pontiac convertible that was his pride and joy. And one afternoon, a classmate challenged Rick to a drag race. It would be Rick's 1950 Pontiac against Duke's 1952 blue Ford. The Ford beat the Pontiac 2 times, and that night at dinner, a state trooper came to our door and asked Rick to come to his car for a talk. Rick turned ghost white, and that was the end of his drag racing. Rick loved being a lawyer and was dedicated to representing his clients with respect and providing the best advice and solutions to them. In 1970, Crohn's disease nearly took Rick's life. With his perseverance and toughness, good advice from a doctor at the Cleveland Clinic, and a lot of blood donated by Woods-Oviatt lawyers and New York State troopers, Rick survived. He continued as a solo practitioner in both Wayne and Monroe County for many decades. Being the only lawyer in the office could be difficult at times. Rick could get down once in a while, and he would visit with his friend and lawyer, Max Stoner, to get cheered up. Max told me one day when he met with Rick, they were discussing some legal issues in a case. At the end of the meeting, Max told Rick he believed he would win the case just because he had within him the blood of the best lawyers in Rochester. In closing, the Chase family, especially our mother and father, are grateful to the Woods-Oviatt lawyers who donated blood that saved Rick's life 50 years ago. Respectfully prepared by Ken Chase.
A tribute to Edward L. D'Amico. Predeceased by his parents, James and Irene, siblings Eugene and Robert, he survived by his loving wife of 66 years, Janet, his children, Cynthia and Richard Hismond, Dr. David and Mary D'Amico, Thomas and Lori D'Amico, and Ellen and Terrence Dussault. Grandchildren, Joseph, Adam, Kristen, and Laura D'Amico, Brian, Megan Murphy Dussault, Seth and Leslie Hismond, siblings Gerald, Irene and Roland Pelletier, Dorothy Foley, Corin and Gary Beccaro, and James and Lynn D'Amico, and several nieces and nephews. Ed was a member of the pioneer class of 1955 at St. John Fisher College. He then earned his Juris Doctorate from St. John's University in 1958. Ed practiced law for over 65 years. Respectfully submitted by the MCBA Memorial Committee.
A tribute to Samuel Clafter. Sam Clafter practiced law in Rochester for nearly 40 years before retiring to Sarasota with his wife Linda, where he died at home on his 94th birthday. He lived a full, happy life, rich with friends, family, and a satisfying career. Born during the Depression to a family of limited means, Sam worked early. He served 2 years in the Army, and the GI Bill helped him attend night school at the U of R. He worked during the day, including serving summonses, which led him to meet Marvin Falk and Sidney Schoenwald, attorneys who saw potential in Sam. They encouraged him to attend Albany Law School. At registration, another Albany Law student asked Sam if there were any scholarships through the Rochester Alumni Group. Well, Sam hadn't thought about it, but there were. And because he was the only one that asked about them, Sam got them all. Full tuition for 3 years. And he still worked every morning before school driving a bus for a private school. Part of his pay was a free apartment over the bus garage. Sam enjoyed practicing law. He did everything from house closings, adoptions, and business contracts to getting family members out of trouble and representing those who were injured in accidents. He became a partner with Falk, Schoenwald, Clafter, and Angie, and ultimately devoted his practice almost entirely to real estate and business contracts. He became close with several of his clients, learning from them as much as helping them. Once his kids finished high school, Sam became of counsel to Hodgson Russ, Andrews, Woods, and Goodyear, and after 12 rewarding years there, he retired and moved to Sarasota to escape the cold winters and to travel with Linda. Sam enjoyed nearly 30 years of retirement, made wonderful new friends, and didn't miss out on anything life had to offer. Respectfully submitted by Linda Clafter.
Born and raised in Canandaigua, George W. Hamlin IV lived at the intersection of passion and potential. A man of as many talents as he had interests, there was no greater champion of the region, its people, and its promise than he. George Hamlin graduated from Yale while traveling the world to perform for kings and queens with the school's a cappella group, the Whiffenpoofs. From there, he embraced his love of flying and joined the U.S. Air Force, serving tours in Vietnam, completing more than 100 combat missions. He received the Distinguished Flying Cross and 10 air medals before finishing top of his class at the Top Gun Flight Academy. After his service, Hamlin enrolled at the University of Virginia Law School. He practiced law in Rochester for 6 years before joining Canandaigua National Bank. Hamlin took the bank's helm in 1979, embarking on a 45-year journey that saw the bank grow from $85 million in assets to $4.9 billion by 2023. In that time, the bank dramatically grew its physical presence by expanding into Monroe County, bolstering the number of branches to 25. He was an avid supporter of the arts, including Bristol Valley Theater and the Rochester Philharmonic Orchestra. He received the Dean's Medal from the Eastman School of Music after co-chairing a $50 million capital campaign and was instrumental in saving Sonnenberg Gardens and Mansion. His love of flying continued as he maintained his pilot's license and became one of the biggest supporters for the creation and expansion of the Canandaigua Airport. In the words of his son, Frank Hamlin III, he was a true Renaissance man whose passion thrived in so many different areas, but he had no greater passion than the one held for this company and the people under his charge. And that passion stemmed from a very basic philosophy that banking is a people's business, not a money business. It will forever be a cornerstone of my father's legacy, and we will forever be grateful. Respectfully submitted by Frank Hamlin III.
Memorial Tribute, Frank Pucha. Frank was a graduate of the University of Detroit, Mercy, received a bachelor's degree in philosophy, graduated cum laude with honors, and then went to Albany Law School and joined the bar in 1953. He worked for the City of Rochester Corporation Council, then went to Albany. He was one of the first Democrats to work under the Kerry administration to write and review regulations governing the provisions of the tax law. He led a team of attorneys who did stellar work and was seldom challenged. Throughout his life, he had a passion for learning, which he enhanced through his love of reading and audible books until the day he passed. His passion for politics and knowledge of life were second to none. Some of the adjectives that are repeatedly used to describe Frank include kind, compassionate, articulate, gentle, positive, generous, thoughtful, and most assuredly, determined. Frank's enjoyment of food and new dining experiences was a lifetime adventure which he shared with so many who were blessed to enjoy his company. Golf was another outlet of pleasure for him. He spent many hours out on the golf course with many of his friends. He loved to travel, meet new people, and experience new adventures. Having never married, Frank's life was enriched by the fruits of his siblings' children, enjoying relationships with 14 nieces and nephews, 26 great nieces and nephews, and 20 great-great nieces and nephews, filling his heart with unprecedented joy. This tribute submitted by his niece, Nancy Pucha. Memorial tribute, Beryl Nussbaum. When Beryl Nussbaum passed away last year, the Rochester legal community lost a true giant. Beryl, a proud fourth-generation Rochesterian, graduated from Monroe High School in 1951, Columbia University in 1955, and Yale Law School in 1958. After serving in the U.S. Army Reserve, he returned home to Rochester and joined Woods Oviatt Gilman, then known as Oviatt Gilman, O'Brien, and Foreman. After quickly rising to partner, he served as managing partner for over 25 years. His love of the firm and the practice of law was so great that he never actually retired and was still hard at work until a few days before his passing. Beryl took incredible pride in being a lawyer. To him, it was a truly noble profession. Those who practiced opposite him will attest to the fact that although he was a tenacious litigator, he was also a gentleman and a man of integrity. He also took pride in training and nurturing a generation of younger lawyers, some of whom are likely in this room today. I'll go off script to say that Beryl was a beloved mentor to me for 50 years. Beryl was also a community leader, serving as president of Temple Bethel and on the boards of many community organizations. He was an avid tennis player. He particularly enjoyed his many matches with Judge Larimer and was a world traveler. He and his wife, Joan, visited well over 100 countries together. As much as Beryl loved the firm and the Rochester community, his greatest love was his family. His 66-year marriage to Joan was a love affair that was the stuff of fairy tales. He is also survived by his 3 children, Chad, Mitch, and Dina, 7 grandchildren, and a great-grandchild, all of whom he adored with all his heart. Beryl's legacy lives on in his family and all those who he touched and inspired throughout his 91 years. Respectfully submitted by Mitchell Nussbaum, Esquire.
This is a tribute to Eugene LeBeau, submitted by Richard T. Chacho, Esquire. Eugene Gino LeBeau was born in 1930, the son of Vincenzo and Josephine LeBeau, and one of 5 children. The family lived on Claremont Street in the city of Rochester. Gene did not let a humble beginning hold him down. His life epitomized the success and achievements of many of his generation. He attended Benjamin Franklin High School, where he excelled in football and was an all-county tackle. He also played football at Brockport Teachers College, where he earned a teacher's degree. He taught as a grammar school teacher at number 11 school on Webster Avenue and is still remembered fondly by many of his former students. In the early 1950s, Gene enlisted in the Marine Corps and served during the Korean War, fighting the evil communists in Puerto Rico. Later, he graduated from Syracuse Law School and served as a deputy Monroe County attorney, and then as a successful attorney in private practice. Socially, Gene was an avid golfer and gambler, and he was good at neither. He loved Locust Hill Golf Club and his, quote, do-over, unquote, buddies, traveling with them all over the country. He also enjoyed traveling with his wife all over the world. In his early days, Gene was a bartender at the famous Riobamba restaurant. In the late 1970s, he opened a restaurant on Park Avenue called Eugene's, where he served as host, bartender, and occasional chef. He is survived by his loving wife, Joan, of 62 years, and he was a devoted father to Thomas and Laura. For 94 years, Gene was a larger-than-life personality who impacted all those who were fortunate enough to know him with his grace and dignity. He was always a friend and true gentleman and will be missed by all who knew him.
A tribute for Brian J. Schulman. Brian, who many of you knew from his years at the Monroe County District Attorney's Office and later as a criminal defense attorney, was born in the Bronx, New York, and soon moved to Rockland County as a child. It did not take Brian long to realize that a career in accounting would not satisfy his adventurous spirit. After earning his accounting degree from the University at Buffalo, he followed his true calling and enrolled in Pace University Law School. Brian loved to tell the story of how he wore the same suit for his multi-day interview with the Monroe County DA's office. It was all he could afford, and he was determined to get the job. He also enjoyed recounting the tale of the Mount Hope grave robber, known as the Grinch, a case that led to a conviction and a feature article in the New York Post. Brian truly loved being an attorney, not for prestige, but for the rewarding purpose of helping everyday people who had found themselves in a situation. He loved spending time at his favorite watering holes where he jokingly had his satellite office. He also officiated numerous weddings of his close friends by the power vested to him by the internet. Above all, he cherished time with his wife, Amy, his daughter, Katie, her husband, Dave, his 2 grandchildren, his 4-legged companion, Charlie, and his many colleagues and satellite office friends. Ultimately, Brian was called upon to fight the biggest case of his life, a 19-month battle with lung cancer. He will be remembered for his dry humor, unwavering love, and generous heart. His legacy lives on through the countless lives he touched, both in and out of the courtroom. Respectfully submitted by his wife, Amy.
A tribute to Justin L. Vigdor, Esquire. Justin was born on July 13, 1929, in the Bronx, New York. He received his LLM from New York University and his law degree from St. John's College of Law. He served in the U.S. Army in the Judge Advocates Corps. Justin passed away peacefully, surrounded by his family on December 26, 2024, at 95 years young. He is survived by his 4 children, 8 grandchildren, several great-grandchildren. Justin's professional affiliations, honors, and achievements are too numerous to list. He was actively involved in the American, New York State, and Monroe County Bar Associations and foundations, and a lifetime member of the New York State Uniform Law Commission. Justin's dedication and steadfast commitment to improve the community earned him several accolades and personal gratification. He was instrumental in the establishment of the Al Siegel Community of Agencies to streamline services to adults and children with special needs. Justin spearheaded fundraising for the Teleska Center for Justice to coordinate public legal services. In 2012, Justin worked to form the Rochester Fringe Festival, now the largest multidisciplinary performing arts event in New York State, and served as its board chair for 10 years. Beyond Justin's incredible list of achievements, accomplishments, and awards, Justin's most notable attribute was his dedication to his wife, Louise, who developed Alzheimer's disease, which progressed slowly. During his long life, Justin enjoyed playing golf, tennis, skiing, reading, and traveling. He loved a good dirty martini, and he made the best, hosting friends and always learning something new each and every day. Respectfully submitted, the Vigdor children.
A tribute to Patrick J. Lane. Our longtime friend and colleague, Patrick J. Lane, died on January 2nd, 2025. Pat was one of the smartest tax attorneys and an all-around intelligent person. However, what was most important to us and many others is that he was a friend whenever you needed one. Pat was there for us during tough times. He was never too busy to lend an ear and sage advice on tax or personal issues. We knew we could always pick up the phone and get a consult from Pat. One of Pat's favorite activities was simply lunch. The three of us met regularly but rarely talked about work. Lunch was almost sacred for Pat, not just a meal, but a time to commune. Our lunches were entertaining because Pat was always in the middle of an enormous tome on history or some other arcane topic, and yes, he could turn even those things into interesting topics for lunchtime discussion. We remember how Pat supported his wife Sandy through her decades-long battle with cancer. They did not hesitate to challenge her providers on their treatment decisions. They were able to change the way Sandy's type of breast cancer was treated, and that has since become standard practice. Pat was involved in life. He was involved with the East Side Community Center. He helped found Spiritus Christi Church. Late in life, he returned to school to earn a master's degree in theology. We miss our friend enormously every day and always will. Respectfully submitted by William J. Neild and Sherry S. Krause.
A tribute to Jeffrey Wicks. Jeff passed away on January 5th, 2025, at the far too young age of 71. Jeff had spent the last year and a half at the Jewish home, where he was surrounded by the love of family and friends and wonderful, caring staff. With degrees from SUNY Oswego and Gonzaga Law School, Jeff's journey first as a public defender, then in private practice in criminal defense, civil rights, and family law drove his passion for the law. To always do the right thing for his clients is what stood out above all. As several colleagues noted, he had a social and ethical conscience big enough for everyone. He served as chairman of the Monroe County Bar Association's Ethics Committee, where his hard work and expertise shined through. As one local attorney stated, Jeff was, quote, a lawyer's lawyer who would take the impossible case, make the unpopular argument for the downtrodden, and speak truth to power consistently and without fail, unquote. Jeff's other passion was music, playing guitar, mandolin, harmonica, being a band member or a music maven. He loved talking about music. and loved to share his music discoveries. He was so proud of his YouTube channel, where he created videos of his favorite music and had many, many followers. Music gave comfort and hope those last few months as friends brought their guitars and jammed with him. Jeff is survived by his wife Rachel, daughter Jane, his sisters Joanna Grenrock and Regina Wicks-Frank. Many other relatives and countless friends have been there to support us through our loss. We all miss Jeff terribly. His lively conversations and opinions were legendary. A day doesn't go by where we don't wish we could talk to him. And we wonder, WWJS, what would Jeff say? Respectfully submitted by Regina Wicks-Frank and Rachel C. Wicks.
This is a tribute to S. Gerald Davidson, 1930 to 2025. S. Gerald Davidson, known by many as Jerry, passed away peacefully on January 18, 2025. Jerry is predeceased by his wife of 51 years, Myrna Levis Davidson. He is survived by his son Richard and daughters Barbara Morgan and Nancy Williamson. Jerry graduated from the University of Rochester in 1952 and Cornell Law School in 1955. In 1968, he founded a law firm that evolved into the current firm of Davidson Fink, LLP. Jerry was active in the Monroe County Bar Association and the New York State Bar Association, where he served as chair of the family law section. He also served in the New York State Bar House of Delegates for several years. He was a member of the American Academy of Matrimonial Attorneys and lectured throughout the state on family law issues. When Jerry wasn't working, he was tending to his garden or baking one of his amazing pies to be shared with family and friends. He was known as a kind, compassionate man who was always there to help, whether you were his family, friend, co-worker, or client. He was full of love and cared full-heartedly about every person in his life. He loved talking with and learning about everything anyone wanted to share. He would listen, truly listen to every word. He loved life and often quoted, "It's a Wonderful Life" from the iconic movie. And he sure lived a wonderful and full life of 94 years, while along the way, touching so many lives. Respectfully submitted by Jerry's daughter, Nancy Williamson.
A tribute to Peter M. Blauvelt. Pete Blauvelt, who passed away at age 90, was an accomplished old-school lawyer, trial lawyer, a brilliant raconteur, and an even better person. Born and raised in Auburn, New York, the son of well-respected State Supreme Court Justice Arthur Irwin Blauvelt, Pete attended Hotchkiss for high school, then college at Cornell, interrupted by 2 years as an MP in the Army, and then on to Syracuse Law School. He began his practice at the Rochester firm of Brennan, Sentner, Palermo, and Blauvelt before moving across town with his great friend, Tony Palermo, as partners of Harder, Seacrest, and Emery. There, he continued to excel as a trial lawyer, deftly handling significant civil cases for both plaintiffs and defendants. Pete Blauvelt earned a reputation as a fierce and dogged advocate, once using his cross-examination skills to convince a personal injury plaintiff to admit under oath that she did not blame Pete's clients for her injuries, only her lawyer did. true story. He was a natural leader, serving as chair of his firm's litigation department and as MCBA president for nearly 2 years. His peers recognized his accomplishments by electing him to the prestigious American College of Trial Lawyers. As an aside, as Pete's partner, I have to recall that every few months Pete would stop by my office inviting me to what turned out to be a 3-martini lunch, after which I was unfit to log any billable hours. Pete was an avid outdoorsman, treasuring time with his wife Ann at his family's summer home in Fairhaven and enjoying hunting, fishing, and boating. After retiring from his law practice, Pete began a judicial career as justice of the town of Sterling, where he acquired new stories for his entertainment arsenal, recounting the colorful characters and events in his courtroom. And he served on numerous not-for-profit boards, including as chair of Cayuga Community College. Pete Blauvelt loved his life as a lawyer. Respectfully submitted by Ann Blauvelt and Thomas G. Smith.
Tribute to Ronald A. Case, Esquire. Ron passed away peacefully after a long illness on January 27, 2025, at the age of 82. He is survived by his wife Susan, sons Jeffrey and Jeremy, and 7 grandchildren. For most of his career, Ron worked as a family court attorney with the Monroe County Child Protective Unit. He was dedicated to advocating for child and family welfare, especially for the underprivileged. His most noteworthy case was the Riversfar child custody case, which went to state Supreme Court. It was decided in his side's favor and ended up setting a case precedent in New York State. Over 26 years, he worked his way up to head his office. He was known for his thoroughness, his index cards, and his endless stack of yellow legal pads and black flare felt tip pens. He was a graduate of Hobart College and William and Mary Law School, and served in the Army in Vietnam as Graves Registration Officer. He retired in 2002, and in his retirement, he wrote and self-published a book, Water, Metaphysics, Mysticism, and Mechanics in Search of Reality. Quite a title. In his free time, he was an accomplished painter, as well as a model train enthusiast. Through the years, he was active in his churches and was on the board of St. Joseph's Neighborhood Center. He was known for his dry wit and love of dill pickles, and was a loving and engaged husband, father, grandfather, and friend, and he will be greatly missed. Respectfully submitted, the Case family.
A tribute to Donald G. Rakoff, Jr. Don served 2 tours of duty as an Air Force JAG officer as senior defense counsel in Korea, then practiced in Germany, representing GIs throughout Europe before returning to Rochester, where he first practiced in the public defender's office, then in private practice. Don represented clients in serious felony matters and authored amicus briefs to the Supreme Court, specializing in military trials and courts-martial, post-conviction cases, and national security law. His notable clients included police, CIA personnel, fellow lawyers, and a client with 5 personalities. Don's cases often required specialized forensic expertise, and he was a frequent CLE lecturer and author on complex criminal defense issues. His work habits were non-traditional. He was incapable of doing any work before 2 p.m., and didn't fire on all cylinders until 2 a.m. For trial attorneys, stories of our trials are how we first know each other by reputation and what we tell each other when we gather. For so long as those of us who remember Don tell each other the stories of our trials and his, he will inspire us by his example. Don was an outstanding lawyer, but that only goes so far. More importantly, he was a great friend. Intelligent, but never condescending, he was unfailingly generous with his time and expertise. He was a great conversationalist and debater, just the kind of guy you'd like to have a beer with. So when you're next in a pub, maybe have a pint of Guinness in Don's honor. Respectfully submitted by Donald Thompson.
This tribute is to David Dickinson Kaiser. David was born in 1944 and grew up in the Browncroft neighborhood, where he also spent the last 25 years of his life. He was a mischievous, spirited child who loved to play pranks, and he had a strong interest in cars, trains, and electronics. David graduated from RIT with a master's in social work and then found his passion for the law while attending Syracuse University College of Law. He graduated in 1977, and by this time he was father of 2 young children. Soon after law school, David joined Family Service of Rochester, which later became Catholic Family Services, where he dedicated his entire professional career to representing elders and adults needing protective services. He prevented them from being evicted from their homes, set up guardianships to protect mentally disabled adults from being taken advantage of, and advocated in court for the aged or those with health conditions who could not advocate for themselves. At times, David brought his children to court to watch him argue cases, which ultimately inspired his daughter to become a lawyer herself. During his years at Family Service and Catholic Family Services, he expanded the geographical scope of the agency's work so that people in rural counties were provided access to much-needed legal services. David became known as an expert in his field and greatly enjoyed imparting his wisdom to others, including during his retirement. He also kept busy in his retirement by volunteering at local train and wireless museums, crossing the country on train trips with his fiancée, taking his grandchildren to museums and restaurants, and spending time with his children and extended family. With David's passing, our profession has lost a man who devoted himself selflessly to justice and fairness, and who prized, above all, being on the side of goodness and morality. Respectfully submitted by his daughter, Eliza Kaiser, Esquire.
Memorial tribute, John A. Titus. This tribute was written in the first person by John's daughter, Betsy. My dad, my friend, John Abiel Titus, passed away February 28 at the age of 87. For the past 8 years, he lived in Leesburg, Virginia, close to family. Prior to that, he enjoyed many good years in sunny Venice, Florida, with his wife, Patricia. John was born in Albany, New York in 1937. He graduated from the Albany Academy in 1955, Yale in 1959, and Cornell Law School in 1964. After Yale, he served in the U.S. Navy aboard the destroyer Stickle, sailing across the Atlantic and Mediterranean. He later continued in the Navy Reserve for 20 years. He loved the Navy and often spoke warmly of his time at sea. In Rochester, New York, he raised his family and built a career as a lawyer, eventually becoming partner at Woods Oviatt Gilman until retiring in 1997. Sports was a lifelong passion. He excelled at football, basketball, and baseball in school and was inducted into the Albany Academy's Athletics Hall of Fame in 2005. He loved watching all sports, but baseball was always his favorite. He was also an avid boater. As a longtime member of the Rochester Yacht Club, he spent countless hours on the water with family and friends aboard his beloved trawler, Tara. Those days on the water brought him great joy. Most of all, he cherished his family, his wife, children, and grandchildren. He was both strong and gentle, disciplined and joyful. He was respected as a lawyer, loved as a husband, father, and grandfather. I am so grateful to have called him my dad. Respectfully submitted by Betsy Titus Reeve.
This is a tribute to Neera T. Kermish, 1934 through 2025. Neera Kermish exemplified many of the best qualities of the legal profession. Tough yet fair, determined and persistent, and always a fierce advocate for her clients, she embodied the highest standards of the law. She approached every case with honesty and integrity, and her work left a lasting impact on the people and communities she served. Neera was a trailblazer for her time. She was born in Jerusalem and earned her law degree from the Hebrew University of Jerusalem, and after becoming a U.S. citizen, was admitted to the New York State Bar in 1972. In 1975, she broke barriers when she was appointed the first female attorney for Monroe County. Then, after more than a decade of service to the county, she went on to open her own civil law practice, where she continued to fight tirelessly for justice on behalf of her clients. Neera was deeply devoted to her family. She was predeceased by her husband of 54 years, Dorian, and she cherished her children, grandchildren, and pets. She lived life with curiosity and passion, embracing every opportunity to explore the world. She visited places as far-reaching as Alaska, Antarctica, China, Egypt, and most of Europe. Her warmth, love, and sense of adventure touched every part of her life and everyone around her. Neera's legacy as a lawyer, trailblazer, and advocate will be remembered with admiration and gratitude, and she will continue to inspire those who follow in her footsteps. Respectfully submitted by Neera's son, Ron Kermish, and her daughter, Sharon Kermish Martins.
Tribute to the Honorable John J. Rivley. A lifelong Rochesterian, John Rivley was a graduate of Aquinas Institute and his bachelor's degree from the University of Buffalo. John was proud to have earned his JD from St. John's University and ardently followed the Red Storm basketball every year. Dedicated to helping and protecting the children of this community, he worked as law guardian, now attorney for the child, at the Legal Aid Society of Rochester for over 30 years, eventually becoming the attorney in charge of that program. During his time as an AFC, John served as a Gates Town Justice for 20 years, where he earned a reputation for fairness and professionalism. True to his vision, he served as a Monroe County Family Court Judge for 10 years, where he was respected for his old school demeanor and patience. John loved the outdoors and an array of physical activities: hunting, fishing, skiing, boating, golf, and tennis. As much as he loved his time on the bench, he probably loved the time he spent at his cottage in the Thousand Islands even more, spending weekends and holiday there with his wife Toni and their daughters Julia, husband Joseph, Daly, Alicia, husband Stuart, Taub, Teresa, husband Michael, Myrnie, and their grandchildren Ryan, Justin, Emily, and Ava. Respectfully submitted, Don Scardino and the Rivley family.
A tribute to William F. Novall. Bill was a native of New York City, having graduated from Manhattan College and Columbia University School of Law. He came to Rochester to pursue a career as a patent attorney for Eastman Kodak and received the Distinguished Attorney Award several times. Bill was described as a quiet man of honor who never complained or judged anyone, and who was well liked by all who knew him. A devoted family man, Bill would think nothing of traveling great distances to spend time with those he loved and those who loved him. His nieces and nephews in particular referred to Bill as their bonus grandfather. After his passing, friends fondly recalled his willingness to listen, along with his kindness and how they always felt welcome and comfortable in his home. Bill was a loving husband, father, brother, grandfather, and an outstanding attorney. He will be greatly missed. Respectfully submitted by the members of the Monroe County Bar Association's Memorial Committee.
This is a tribute to Alan Persons, born in 1932, submitted by Alfred Ted Streppa, Esquire. I joined the law firm of Streppa, Osgood, Cleary, and Genzel after passing the bar examination in 1964. Al Persons was a partner and focused his practice on real estate law and title examinations. We represented Community Savings Bank, later to become Rochester Community Savings Bank. In those days, I was primarily a real estate closing attorney. And before I went into the closing, I would receive the mortgage file with Al's neatly printed title requirements. This was in the days before title insurance was common. Alan was certainly one of the best title examiners in the county. He was respected and admired not only by me, but by every attorney in the Bar Association. If a seller's attorney questioned a title request, Alan would come into the closing room and politely and precisely explain why, and also how the attorney could satisfy it. There was never any disputing his explanation by the seller's attorney or his or her client. Usually Alan would call the seller's attorney or the buyer's attorney prior to the closing to alert them of any unusual title problems, and he even assisted them in obtaining the required curative. In July 1983, the Streppa Osgood firm merged with the Harris Beach and Wilcox firm. and Alan became a member of Harris Beach and continued his practice as a real estate attorney and title examiner. On a personal level, Alan and I became good friends and played golf together at Monroe Golf Club. He was an excellent golfer with a low handicap and voluntarily gave me lessons. Unfortunately, it did me little good, but he was always polite, positive, and good-natured. Alan was my mentor and taught me a great deal about the more thorny and subtle issues of real estate law. In fact, I probably learned more from him than I did in my real estate classes at Cornell Law School.
A tribute to Douglas W. Whitney, Esquire. A lifelong friend, mentor, and colleague, Doug Whitney passed away April 23, 2025, at the age of 86 after a courageous 6-year battle with brain cancer. Doug spent all but 2 years of his life in Fairport and was known by many as the country lawyer. A letter from one of Doug's clients sums him up best. His special brand of honesty and integrity was what endeared him to me and is difficult to find in this life. It is what made me call him a friend more than an attorney. Doug was the heart of Fairport. His general law practice spanned more than 50 years, and he served as village justice, village attorney, and chair of the Parenton Ethics Board. Doug was a lifetime member of the First Congregational Church of Fairport. He served on the Parenton Historical Society Board of Trustees, was enshrined in the Fairport High School Wall of Fame, and was a 55-year member of the Fairport Rotary Club. A fellow Rotarian wrote to Doug soon before his passing, "I find myself once again in awe of your integrity and generosity as a man, husband, father, grandfather, and community leader. If I face this life with half the courage of Doug Whitney, I will be twice the man I am." Doug and his wife, Jean, were close family friends since the time I was born. Our families spent many summers together on Cuca Lake. Doug was a captivating storyteller. I recall those magical nights huddled around a campfire with Doug retelling story after story. Little did I know then that I would grow up to be an attorney, and that in the last few years of Doug's practice, our firms would merge and that we would practice alongside each other. It was such a thrill for both of us. Doug, my friend, you will be missed. Respectfully submitted, Paul G. Barden, Esquire.
A tribute to Emmeline Suzanne Logan Baldwin. I first met Emmeline Logan Baldwin shortly after arriving in Rochester, New York, on the day Martin Luther King was assassinated, April 4th, 1968. Emmy was a young associate at Robinson, Williams, and Angeloff. Emmy was also the first executive director of the Genesee Valley ACLU. Our experience as law students, her at UVA and me at UC Berkeley, were similar. We immediately bonded. We both were concerned with civil rights, social injustice, and were anti-Vietnam War. She immediately recruited me as a volunteer ACLU lawyer. In those years, 1968 to the early 70s, we collaborated on several lawsuits as ACLU lawyers, flag-burning cases, several draft evasion cases, and most memorable, co-counsel defending students who had taken over the administration building at MCC and refused to leave when ordered to by police. Emmy's soft-spoken Virginia accent belied her iron will and tenaciousness, which she used, along with her intelligence and legal skills, to pursue individual wrongs and social injustice and arguing for women's rights. She argued Worth v. Selden before the United States Supreme Court in 1975, challenging zoning practices in Penfield, which excluded low and moderate income individuals. The decision affirmed the lower court's decision. Plaintiffs did not have standing in a 5-4 decision written by Justice Lewis Powell. However, Many zoning laws were changed as a result of the Supreme Court's decision. Following the end of the Sorry, not wearing my glasses. Following the end of the 80s and following the end of the 60s and the end of the Vietnam War, we both drifted into private practice. She continued taking cases, and most lawyers passed on as too controversial or too complicated cases, or for clients who could not afford the legal fees. Emmy and Roy also became parents. Emmy brought the same iron will and tenaciousness to the Rochester City School PTA, where her daughter attended, graduating with honors from East High School. Emmy challenged and succeeded in changing several city school policies that are in effect today. Emmy followed in her mother's footsteps at UVA, earning a degree in aerospace engineering, and is working on fighter pilot jet technology for the United States Navy. I last saw Emmy after she retired at her 80th birthday party at her farm in Palmyra, New York. She was joyful and happier than I had ever seen her. Those days of fighting injustice in the courtroom were behind her. She had returned to her Virginia roots of farming and riding horses. Respectfully submitted, Joan O'Byrne.
A tribute to Carl R. Krause. Carl Krause was born in the small town of Blakely, Pennsylvania in 1930. After a tour of duty in the Navy using his GI benefits, Carl attended Cornell University. And after a brief period at Chain Belt Corporation in Waukesha, Wisconsin, he attended Syracuse Law School and then began his legal career in 1964 at the firm of Harris, Beach, Wilcox, Dale, and Linowitz, at that time a firm of about 20 lawyers. After gaining litigation skills through old-fashioned negligence cases, he applied his intelligence and business acumen and colorful personality to the development of the firm's labor and employment department. He developed a statewide client base, serving clients in many business sectors, including healthcare, building construction, and local government. In the late 70s, his fellow partners elected him to serve as the managing partner of the firm, during which he led the firm to hire its first full-time non-lawyer administrator and adopt a number of computer-driven efficiencies. Carl was also active in the State Bar Association, where he was one of a group of attorneys instrumental in founding the association's labor and employment law section, which he later chaired. He was honored to be appointed to Syracuse Law School's Board of Visitors, on which he served for many years. He was also a proud and loyal member of the Rochester Rotary Club. He retired from the firm in 2000 after 36 years of practice and leadership. Carl inspired 2 nephews and a daughter to take up the practice of law. He was an enthusiastic tennis player, a regular customer at Swan's German Market on Parcells Avenue, a faithful fan of the New York Football Giants, and husband to Carol for 69 years and a devoted grandfather. He passed away in June of 2025 at the age of 94. Respectfully submitted by Carol Krause.
A tribute to Murray Beckerman. Murray Beckerman passed away peacefully at age 100. He was devoted to his family and revered the law and legal profession. Murray excelled academically and graduated from Brighton High School with top honors. He then enlisted in the Army Air Forces and Air Transport Command, where he proudly served as a sergeant until the end of World War II. He then attended the U of R and Cornell Law School. Murray began his legal career in Rochester as a general practitioner before co-founding Beckerman & Beckerman with his brother Jerry. In the early 1960s, Murray helped manage his wife's family business, Hart's Food Stores, Inc., which was the operator of Star Supermarkets. And he was the supermarket conglomerate's general counsel until it was sold in 1965. Murray and his family later relocated to New York City, where he practiced with several top law firms over the next 5 decades. Murray retired at age 90, and he was admired by colleagues and clients for his sharp legal mind and professionalism, along with his measured judgment and attention to detail. Murray was inspired by his late father-in-law, Alfred Hart, who was a man he never met, but whose book, Higher Ideals, became a moral compass guiding Murray's devotion to his family, his Jewish faith, and his philanthropy. After losing his 19-year-old son, Peter, then a recent Harley School graduate, Murray and his first wife, Hazel, established Beckerman Hall, a student recreation center at Harley, which still honors Peter's memory. Murray had a sharp sense of humor, and he loved Frank Sinatra, the New York Giants, and the New York Yankees. But above all, he adored his family. He and Hazel met at age 16, and their love lasted 65 years until she passed in 2005. And as a testament to his tenacious spirit and willingness to go on with life, he found love again a second time with his second wife, Renee, with whom he shared 15 wonderful years. Murray was a cherished husband, father, grandfather, and great-grandfather to many who simply called him Great, which was an apt name for a beloved patriarch. Respectfully submitted, Timothy H. Birnbaum, Esquire.
All right. Last, but as you'll soon see, certainly not least, a tribute to James M. Hartman. Jim Hartman was born in Brooklyn in 1928 and died 97 years later in Rochester. After completing high school in Brooklyn, he served in the United States Army for 2 years and attended NYU, graduating Phi Beta Kappa in 1950 with a degree in history. His next stop was uptown at Columbia Law School, where he earned his JD in 1953. After practicing several years in Manhattan, he moved to Rochester in 1962 and joined Harris, Beach, and Wilcox, becoming a partner in 1967. Jim was an active member of the New York State Bar Association, chairing its trial lawyers section. He served as president of the Monroe County Bar Association from 1974 to 75. And in 1975, he argued before the United States Supreme Court the case of Worth v. Selden. Jim's client prevailed, and that decision remains a mainstay on the law of standing for all first-year law students. While at Harris Beach, Jim was devoted to training associates in the litigation department. In that pursuit, his strong work ethic and fiery personality shone brightly. His detailed revisions of associates' written work, always done in red ink, made those early drafts look like crime scenes. But as stringent an editor as he was, his mentoring was always laced with rich, colorful humor. Indeed, for all his time trying cases in court, serving professional organizations, training young lawyers, and his day-to-day interactions with people everywhere, perhaps Jim's best legacy is his gift of incredible humor, his gift to make people laugh. Not just chuckle, but rather enjoy a pure, unabashed, full-bellied laugh, regardless of place or circumstances. For example, in 1977, on behalf of a well-known car dealer in Rochester named Scuddy on West Henrietta Road, Jim brought a case challenging the town of Brighton's denial of Mr. Scuddy's proposal to erect a huge garish sign amidst the thicket of existing signs of bustling car dealerships on this particular road. The judge, Jim argued the case, and the judge appeared unmoved by his detailed, well-reasoned arguments until Jim paused with the hands outstretched. In mock exasperation, he concluded, quote, "And after all, Your Honor, we're talking here about West Henrietta Road. It's not like we're asking this court to bless the erection of a neon statue of David in a quiet corner of the Brooklyn Botanical Gardens." The huge assembly of lawyers at special term erupted in laughter, and after order was restored, the court granted Jim's motion. When fresh out of Columbia Law School, Jim began practicing at a big Wall Street firm. One day, a senior partner, having witnessed this young Brooklynite's shtick, reprimanded him with these words: "Young man, the law is a very, very serious pursuit. There's no room for levity in the law." To our great benefit, those words fell on deaf ears. Respectfully submitted, Philip Spillane and Steve Ingram, retired partners at Harris Beach.
Justice Taylor, this now concludes the reading of the memorial tributes. I would move that a copy of the transcript of this special proceeding be kept as a permanent record of the court, and that a copy of each memorial tribute be filed within the minutes of the Monroe County Bar Association.
Your application is granted.
Thank you, Your Honor. And just before I make one last motion to move to adjourn, and then we can have a reception out in the hall, I would just once again like to thank several people, beginning again with Judge Taylor. We are so delighted that he presides over this ceremony. I know all of us sitting at the tables felt his warmth and sincerity, and I'm sure that all of you did as well, and those of you watching us online. So again, thank you once again, Judge. It's a pleasure for us to have you here. Thank you also to the members of the judiciary. It's so wonderful to look over at the box and see so many of our judges also here to support and recognize and honor the people that we recognize today. Thank you again for being with us and taking time out of your very, very busy schedules. I want to thank the members of the Memorial Committee, those are who you see in front of you today. We're missing a couple who unfortunately couldn't be here, but these folks, I just want to thank them for all of their hard work and dedication in making sure that we could have a proper tribute to all of our dear friends and colleagues. Whether we called upon this group to do a little detective work and tracking down information or family members or photographs, or to find people to write tributes or to edit them, or even to lend their talents to bringing such feeling and texture to the words that you all heard today, they always took on these tasks willingly, effortlessly, and with heart. You allowed all of us to feel the true spirit of the people that we honored today. And as chair of the committee, I can say it's an absolute pleasure working with each and every one of you. Thank you to Taylor Nowak of the Monroe County Bar Association and the staff for putting this memorial ceremony together. You're all amazing. Taylor, your patience and organization, I'm sure you can imagine all the hard work that goes into this and keeping a whole bunch of lawyers on track and on task. We couldn't have done it without you, Taylor, so thank you very, very much. And lastly, thank you to all of the tribute writers for sharing your words, your stories, and your memories. It's not easy to write a tribute. I know that from personal experience. And how do you describe in 250 or so many words a life well loved and well lived? It's tough, but you all did it, and you did a wonderful job, and you brought to life those that we all care about and we loved. So every tribute was memorable, every tribute was special, and we're again honored and thankful for you sharing your loved ones with us. Thank you, of course, to the Monroe County Bar Association Foundation as well for helping make today possible. So on behalf of the Memorial Committee and the Monroe County Bar Association, thank you, all of you, for being with us. Thank you to those who joined us virtually. Oh, thank Paul, too, who was our technology wizard. Thank you for setting all of this up. And thanks again for everybody for being here. Please join us out in the lobby for a brief reception. And Justice Taylor, I would now make my final motion to adjourn this special proceeding and the 2025 memorial ceremony.
Thank you, Mr. Rogoff. With my gratitude, your motion is granted. Court is now adjourned.